We're going through the Old Testament and we're seeing that God does not change. Circumstances change, people change, economies change. God doesn't change. And if you got to anchor your soul in the Lord, in the living God, otherwise you're going to be filled with fear. This is an amazing text, chapter 6. 2 Kings 6, starting in verse 8, describes there Elisha. He's a prophet of God. Now, remember, Genesis 1 starts with a creation. So the Bible starts with Jesus actually creating the heavens and the earth. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and we know from Colossians and the Gospel of John that Jesus was the second person of the Trinity who was creating the heavens and the earth, described there in Genesis 1:1. And then we recognize in Revelation 20, last part of 20 and 21, that Jesus is going to create a new heavens and a new earth. That's a pretty big task, isn't it? Create a universe, create time, space, continuum, ex nihilo, from nothing. He's going to destroy it all. He's going to create ex nihilo again. So you've got these two God-only things in the middle, or on the ends. And then in the middle of the Bible, you have three great periods of miracles. Now, God does miracles scattered throughout, but Moses' time, there's lots of miracles recorded for us there. God shows his glory there. Then we see it during the times of Elijah and Elisha. That's where we're at right now in 2 Kings. And then you see it again in Jesus' day, where there's a lot of miracles that take place. And again, it shows that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, so that you might believe in him and have everlasting life. So we're in this middle section. Elisha. What's happening in this story? Well, if you remember, God used Elisha to heal Naaman, who was a general in a foreign country. Remember, he comes, he's got leprosy, he comes, God heals him, he goes back. Now, Elisha's ministry is 50 years, so there's a lot of things happening during those 50 years. He goes back, he tells what God had done, and time goes on, and now the king of Syria is sending, or Aram is sending, marauding groups into Israel to pillage Israel. Do you know there's people that live in this city that would love to pillage your house? And your children? And you know what? There's foreign entities that would like to do the same. History is filled with illustrations of this. So there's government-sponsored marauding groups coming from Syria into Israel and killing people, looting, and carrying back the booty. And so as the king is making these plans, God starts sharing the plans with Elisha. Elisha shares the plans with the king of Israel. It says, hey, they're coming. This is their plan. Get in this position, and you deal with them when they come. And so as a result of this, God foils, not once, not twice, but it says many times, the plan of the king of Assyria. Finally, to the point where the king's like, all right. He calls all of his leaders in, all of his generals, all of his cabinet members, and says, one of you is a spy, and you're telling my plans to the king of Israel. That's the only way this could happen. And finally, as they're getting chewed out, one of them says, it's not us. We're not the spies. The problem is there's this man of God down there. And this God, his God, knows everything you whisper in your bedroom, and you know, when you're having pillow talk with your wife, anyway, and he's telling Elisha, and then he tells the king, and there's nothing we can do about it. So the king of Syria says, that's it. We're going to send a Delta team down there. I want some horses. I want some chariots. I want special op guys, and I want you to find him. They find him in Dothan, 12 miles north of Samaria, where the king is, the capital of the northern kingdom. And so 12 miles north. You go down there, you get him, you surround him. So they send this Delta force down there, and they don't even know it's coming. And they wake up one morning, and that's where we pick up in verse 15. The servant of Elisha, it says, gets up in the morning. Notice what it says, verse 15. Now when the attendant of the man of God's Elisha, the attendant is a servant, had risen early and gone out. So you'll notice he's a good man. He's with the right guy. He's an early riser. Amen. Early bird gets the worm, and it says he goes out. So he's going out to get the newspaper. He's going out to get the Star Tribune or whatever. It says he's going out, and he looks around, and it says he sees all the Syrians. Look what happens. It says, and behold, an army of horses and chariots was circling the city. And the servant said to him, he goes back in the house and says, alas, my master, Elijah, what shall we do? Can you feel the panic in this guy's voice? He's outnumbered. He's scared to death. Notice what the man of God says. So Elisha answered, said, do not fear. There's the command. For those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Stop being afraid. We got them outnumbered. What are you worried about? Then Elisha prayed and said, oh Lord, I pray, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he saw, and behold, the mountains were full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. So you had the city. You had this Delta force going around trying to abduct Elisha and carry him off. And then as his eyes are opened, he can see a ring of chariots of fire and horses surrounding them. Friends, do not fear. There's more of us than there are of them.